We're going to stay football-centered since you were at that game. Arkansas drops out of the top 25. They've lost 3 straight games. And you asked Coach what I thought was a pretty fair question just about kind of what's the message and the momentum right now. How do you get that momentum back? Now, UAPB, we're almost going to have to look past this week, and I know you have the bye coming back, but what's the message to this football team this week to get back on track moving forward, especially in conference play?
Well, I mean, you just have to be consistent with your messaging, which is, we're all we have and we're all we need, and let's just get out here and put together a strong performance against UAPB. Arkansas is at the level where this is a game that shouldn't scare them at all. Like a couple of years ago, a game like this, you could say, oh, well, we'll get Malik Hornsby in pretty early. Well, and then you couldn't do that kind of thing. Or at that time, it would have been, let's get KJ in. But when they come back off the break, so they've got this game, they've got a bye, and then the Mississippi State game at home is just not going to be any kind of easy pushover. I mean, just like Ole Miss studied all offseason for how to attack the Razorback defense, Mississippi State is going to have some answers. So the offense right now, I mean, other than the fourth downs and, KJ's accuracy, we have enough data now that a few throws per game are going to be high. So he's got to continue to work on his footwork, and I'm giving you a spray answer like a shotgun blast all over the place. But basically, heal some guys up, and I heard you talking about the D-line right when I came on. And it's got to play better, and they've got to get more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And if they can do that against Mississippi State, and that turns into a really swing game now.
Tom, we've had a few texts this morning, people already wanting to move on to basketball season, and I wonder your just opinion of the fans, their focus right now. Not to say that people aren't excited for Eric Musselman's squad and what Dave Van Horn's going to offer on the baseball diamond in a few months, but where do you think the fans are with this football team coming off these 3 straight losses, and especially in a game where they thought they'd compete a little better in this past Saturday?
Still excitement because using the term ahead of schedule, I think is still appropriate. I mean, they beat Texas, a longtime rival. They beat A&M, got rid of that long losing streak. You can't discount the meaning of those wins and the fact that they got to number 8 in the country when everyone knows that they're not at the peak efficiency that Arkansas football is going to reach, or that you feel it will reach under Sam Pittman. So the loss at Ole Miss was really damaging. If you get that 2-point conversion and win the game, let's just say the same outcome happens against Auburn, well, you're 5-2, and you might still be ranked. Not that matters that much, but you just feel a little differently because ostensibly you get bowl eligible this week with 6 wins at your bye date. So I think the fans have every right to be excited about what's coming with basketball, but I think they still believe in Sam Pittman and understand that there's a little bit of a numbers deficiency, that you get a few guys hurt, key guys hurt like Catalon, that it can impact and impair your performance on a Saturday. And I have to give Auburn credit, y'all. They just came in with a very solid game plan. When Arkansas was going to do the drop 8, they just threw to their tight ends and just chipped their way down the field. And then when Arkansas said, well, we got to do some more man stuff, then they took deep shots against the man, and they ran the ball effectively. And the difference, Bo Nix, a veteran, established quarterback, never got pressured, didn't have to run him very much, but then when they did need to run him, he got the key 3rd down conversion on that long drive, and then he, obviously scored the dagger touchdown at the end. And KJ is still, improving. So I don't know. I just think Arkansas football is still in a decent place, but they're frustrated right now. I mean, it was written all over. Sam Pittman doesn't hide really the way he feels. And when I asked him about, the direction of the program and all that, he gave it a lot of thought. He didn't know where he wanted to go with that answer, and what he came up with is we're a beat-up team, and we know this.
Yeah, and essentially, for better part, you got two weeks to get healthy. You basically have 2 bye weeks with UAPB coming up in a non-conference game here you should easily win. So, Tom, there's always key moments in every game. You listed a few of them there. Arkansas fell behind early, then rallied off an interception to score on a 12-play, 84-yard drive to cut it to 4 at the half at 14-10. They got the ball first, went down the field 75 yards in 6 plays, and took the lead for the first time at 17-14. A couple of punts, then Auburn punts it away, and Arkansas does not field the punt. Lost in the sun by Perotti. I thought that was the moment when you look back at what unfolded after that led to the touchdown in the end zone for Auburn on the fumble by Jefferson. Not being able to field that punt was a critical part of that game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to cut you off. It was huge, and you just hate it that a play that, say, is out of your hands, the sun being in the position it was, is what affected it. And if you're Perotti and you can't see it, there's no sense trying to field it because there's a strong likelihood you fumble it. So just a bad break and a forward rolling punt. And Auburn just got really hungry at that point and got the back-to-back sacks. So, the possession before that on offense is the one. If you go down and score a touchdown there and go up 24-14, then they've got to be more risk-taking.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just frustrating for the Razorbacks that so many of their, I guess you'd say, gambles, the fourth down plays just didn't work. If you see that if KJ Jefferson pitches the ball, I think it would have been to Rocket Sanders on the last or the second fourth down. It looks like Sanders has got some clear sailing, and even if a guy comes up on him, Sanders can run through a guy and get your first down there. So just a little bit of unfortunate. And honestly, Tommy, there were some calls in that game that you just have to shake your head at.
Yep.
I could not believe that the pass interference on Hudson Clark held.
I agree.
No one could have caught the ball. It was well out of bounds.
I agree.
And I don't know why the fumble in the first quarter down on the Auburn 16, why in the world does that go to replay review if you've determined that the progress of the runner had been stopped? I mean, if that's what you determine on the field, why does that have to go to replay? Yeah. The ball was out as Jarquez Hunter, as Jashad Stewart was dropping Jarquez Hunter. That to me looked like a legit fumble. I mean, how often do you see a running back get picked up and they don't whistle it? So they just got some bad breaks, Tommy.
Yeah, I thought there were 3 calls, and you mentioned the fumble. That was maybe the one. The other 2, Devion Warren on the hold, and you mentioned the pass interference were ones that were make you scratch your head a little bit. But in the end, you've got to be better than those plays. But I want to come back to KJ Jefferson before we end the conversation. For all the struggles you've had over the last 3 ball games and coming up short, with the exception of Georgia, the Arkansas quarterback has played exceptionally. Even in the loss, he ran for 66, threw for 228. I mean, just your thoughts on KJ Jefferson and where he's headed this last half of the year, because if he can hone in a little bit of an intermediate passing game with more accuracy, Tom, I think the sky's the limit for what he can be in the 22 or 23 season. Well,
yeah, there's going to be, I guess, learning moments, growing pains, or what have you, but his talent is very evident.
Absolutely.
And it's every play now, there's this split-second decision-making you have to take. There was a couple of times in the first half where we could see from our vantage point, if he runs it, he gets a first down. And he threw a deep ball to Warren Thompson. It was a low-percentage type throw where if he had run it, and I think it wound up being like a 4th and 2 or 3, and they ended up, punting on this one, but he had a first down there running. The pitch to Sanders on the other 4th down, if he makes that, it's very likely to be a first down. So we've come to expect a level of performance out of KJ, and rightly so, because he's got the talent, that those type decisions, he's going to have a better success ratio going forward. And then it's just a footwork thing. I was listening to the CBS broadcast during the game, and KJ had visited with Rick Neuheisel and Aaron Murray and talked about knowing that he's got to make some steps on the real technical aspects of playing quarterback, footwork, and why passes fail. Because the 2-point conversion against Ole Miss didn't have a chance because the ball sailed. I just think he gets a little amped up and puts a little much on the ball. And then in this game, there were a few. And then, Devion Warren, a senior, had a big coming out deal against Auburn last year. He's got to hold on to that ball because that that sequence is what led to the failed fourth down.
That's a big play.
That, then turned into the Auburn one-play touchdown. So every little intricate detail plays a role in a game, and I just think that Arkansas fans should be proud that the quarterback level is pretty strong. I mean, I'd already put him in the top half of SEC quarterbacks, but I think next year we could see where a lot of his decision-making is more correct given what he's looking at.
They always talk about the game slowing down for quarterbacks. It sounds to me, to borrow that adage, when the game slows down maybe just one more notch for him, his performance level is going to increase twofold.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, he's almost there, too. I mean, he's almost there. His performance against Ole Miss is one that it's just like the Missouri game last year. Should have been rewarded, could have been rewarded with a W, but it wasn't.
Yeah, you look at KJ and just kind of how far he's gone along. I think that's one of the things that, Tom, you just addressed that fans are happy with. And we've gotten some texts. It's been back and forth. Some fans are ready to move on to basketball season. Some are still. But I think what you just brought up, they're still, I think, ahead of schedule. Would have loved that Ole Miss win. So what do they have to do the rest of the way for fans to consider this a successful season? You got 5 games left, UAPB this week, then a bye, then some other SEC opponents. What do they have to do the rest of the way in these remaining 5 games for you and others to consider this a successful season?
Well, they've got to find a way to this stretch of these last few games on defense has reminded me of the end of last year where they had been playing to a certain level, and then you got a little surprised that Missouri hit so many deep balls just whenever they needed. And then Missouri's run game, you remember the fourth quarter, they just were doing whatever they wanted in the fourth quarter. And it seems to me that there's a certain talent level at Arkansas, but when you get guys dinged up and they tackle so hard, you think back to the A&M and Texas games, they were hitting guys so hard. But I think that takes a wear and tear on your shoulders. And these last couple of games, they've just been a half step behind, or the other teams held their block on Arkansas a little bit more. So I'd like to see them come out, take care of business Saturday, and then against Mississippi State, be rejuvenated, make Will Rogers have to think and get him on the move, get him down a few times. Mm-hmm. The pass rush is so vital. If they can kind of recover a pass rush, Trey Williams hasn't been 100%. So many guys on defense aren't. Get that going against Mississippi State. Get a win there. And then, get one of 2 road games. And the LSU, no telling where they will be. But if you can win 2 or 3 of those final SEC games, then you're going to go to a decent level bowl.
Tom, we appreciate your insight, man. We'll do a little more of a UAPB preview coming up this Thursday, and can't wait for it, man.
Yep, go Braves. See y'all.
There you go.
I want to mention his Atlanta Braves up 2-0 on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NLCS.
We're back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV 50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, and baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.